live stream.
No, I like this guy's approach. He's not, it doesn't sound weird. He's just like, I'm just trying to figure out like what food can you eat that keeps your body from
aging.
aging. Yeah. I mean, obviously you can't live forever, but no, I like this guy's approach. He's not, it doesn't
we're
sound
live.
weird.
Now we are
He's
talking
just
about
like, I'm just trying to figure out like what
Oh,
food can you eat that keeps your body
oh
from
my gosh. Is that me or is that you? That's you.
aging. Yeah. That's me. I had the stream there. Okay. I'm still so bad at streaming. I spent like an hour this morning trying to get better at it. Got some ideas for next time. And we definitely, anyone who has tuned in yet, we definitely are going to have like a set schedule that you can plan on instead of us just tweeting out 30 minutes before, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah. Do we get yeah, there it is. I'm gonna open it up and just mute it just so I can see what's going on.
Yeah, and I also oh man, how do I get into YouTube over here and turn off the YouTube chat? Because we don't actually want to use that one. We want to use the Discord one. No, I can't find it. Whatever. Just know that if you're commenting on YouTube, we're ignoring it. Come over to our Discord. I get into YouTube over here and turn off the. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and off we go.
Remix streams. There's only 1 and 2 up here. I can't see number 3 on YouTube.
Oh, it's not showing up yet?
Yeah. Is it? Are you sure we're live?
I hit it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't find it.
Yeah, it's not showing up there. What is going on? The other times it would just show up.
Well, I'm just trying to get to the page so I can see like how many people are viewing it and if people are chatting and.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's the link straight to the page.
Gracias. I can't find it.
Yeah, it's not showing up.
Okay, I'm here now.
I'm gonna try one more time. Let's go to your channel. Find this. Oh, nope, that's me, not Remix.
I even wore a collared shirt for today's live stream. So I don't look like a hooligan.
You can dress however you want, but they know you're a hooligan. We got 13 people on there, so like it must be showing up somewhere.
I even wore a collared shirt for today. Your fancy apparel. I know exactly who you are.
Well, whatever. Oh, I'm still sharing my screen. We got some people here and it'll save there, so I think we're good. Like I said, I'll get better at this. I do suck at it though right now.
Yes, you do.
All right. We went over the roadmap with our team a couple days ago, so I think we're good here. Let's get over to the remix discussion proposals.
Let's do it.
And then get the router ones up here also. I'm going to shrink this down. Doesn't need to be that big. Okay. Let's look at the last month here on both of them. Oh, am I sharing my whole screen? What are you seeing? Are you just seeing
Zoom? Yeah, I see your whole screen. I see your desktop and everything. Your browser. Yeah.
I don't want that. I just want Google Chrome. There we go. Boom. Okay. All right, got them both in there. So I'm switching to past month. I think this one's already there. All right, cool. You want to just look at the titles and then decide which ones we want to dig into instead of just like whoever's first.
Yeah, 100%.
I just locked this one, hydration error when there's a Chrome extension that modifies the DOM. That's issue bug report thing, not a proposal. And also not our problem. That's React's thing. You can
I have been thinking, yeah. Can we talk about that for just a second?
Sure.
Because
So Chrome extension shows up, hydration error because the extension modifies the DOM before
yeah,
React hydrates.
yeah. So our stance has been from day one, like, well, not from day one. I think there was a certain point where we were like, let's hydrate the whole document instead of just hydrating a div in the root of the body. But anyway, what I'm wondering is, so people can already get around this, right? Because they can just say, because they control their entry point, right? They control
Yeah,
their
people hydrate. Well, if you could hydrate a div ID root with Remix,
yeah,
but then you can't use meta and links. Well, they'd be inside of the body. They're not gonna.
yeah, they would be down there.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is there a workaround today where you could hydrate some element that's in the head and hydrate some element that's in the body, and that way
totally.
You reserved your own space, right? Div ID root, body root, div ID head root, or you can't put divs in head, but
that's the problem.
Something in the head, because a lot of these Chrome extensions, what they're doing is they're adding like a style tag to the head,
or injecting a script into the bottom of the body or something,
or injecting something somewhere. So it's like, if we could just carve out our own little space. And again, I'm wondering if you can
do that in userland. Yeah,
I'm wondering if you can already do this in userland, if you can just carve out your own little space and be like, here's my space in the body, here's my space in the head remix that I want you to hydrate. But then your root TSX, which is the thing that we tell you to do, right? Put your HTML in your root TSX. That doesn't work, right? You're gonna have to go back and change that and say.
Yeah, so what you'd have to do is in your entry server. Oh man, and this one's got streaming, so it's a little more confusing looking. But it wouldn't work well. But so like this, render to pipeable stream. So ignoring streaming, you would have to say render to string a head, right? And that's it, like a head. Well, that little chunk that you're saying, and then you do the rest of the app, and then you would send a response that has concatenated your doc type, your HTML, a head, and then you would inject your little string for just your own little head space for meta and link, and then you'd put in the string for the body, and then over on entry client, you would have your two hydrate root. You're going to create two roots instead of just one.
Yeah.
So not the whole document. It would be like my little head fragment hydrate root, and then you'd have to do another hydrate root of, man, this has got stuff I didn't know about in it. And you'd have another hydrate root for the body. But you could totally, you can do this all yourself.
Well, but you would need two remix servers to provide the context for those two chunks that you're making, right?
I don't think so. Just entry server is going to give you.
Well, but meta and links need the context, and then, and then everybody else needs the context too in the body, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what you mean, remix server. I thought you meant like an actual server, like a different.
No, the component.
Yes. Yeah, you totally need two of these. And one of them you put your little head chunk, and the other one you put your body in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like who cares? Like most people don't have Chrome extensions that do this. It's almost always the developer's extension.
Well, remember Toby ran. Toby.
Yeah, that's true.
It was like one of the first things he ran into. It's so annoying. And I look at it from Meta's perspective, not Meta in the head, but Meta, the company, from their perspective. And I think they must be just throwing their hands up saying like, Hydrate does what Hydrate does. Chrome extensions do what Chrome extensions do. Like, you should fix this in userland. Like, we're not going to fix this at a framework level, right? We're not going to, try and
Preact doesn't blow up on this though. Preact is just like, okay, these attributes are different. There's an extra thing there, whatever. I'll leave it alone as I understand it.
oh, so you're saying maybe they could at a framework level just
Yeah,
be
just like okay, there's an extra thing in the head that I didn't put there. I'll just leave it.
yeah.
Next time we render, it'll get blown away.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay. So at a framework level, they could be like, hey, you know what, Chrome extensions do this very commonly. Let's not care about it that much.
The other thing is the total effect of what happens is React just blows away what's in the DOM and then re-renders the document as if you didn't even server render it. But like all it does is slows down hydration by some milliseconds. You get a warning, it hydrates the whole thing.
Oh, so React is complaining about it, but the document is still hydrated at the end.
It's fine. It doesn't blow up. The website works. Everything's fine. It's React is like, you gave me some server HTML. It doesn't match. So I'm going to toss it and I'm going to put what I've got here for hydration in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to,
it doesn't mess with the scroll position. Like everything works out. So just, I don't know.
Okay. So you look at that issue then, and you think this is a React issue. They need to fix their stuff.
It's a React issue. And like, sure, the warning is scary, but the effect on the UX is
minimal.
Pretty marginal. Yeah.
A couple milliseconds. Okay. So, well, then why don't we just, we should just close that issue then, or at least pass the buck and say their problem, not ours, link to an issue that we opened on the React repo.
Well, and the reason I locked it is because there's not a proposal. Like these proposals are not for us to like, if you think there's a bug, go open an issue.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Right. There's no proposed solution here of like, hey, because this problem, here's what we could do. It's just.
Oh, got it. Yeah. It looks like you already said that 2 weeks ago. This is a React problem, not a remix. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm content. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just, I wasn't aware of all the nuance that you just provided. So thank you.
Yeah. And we should definitely add a thing in our gotchas, I think, on our
our templates hydrate the whole document. React likes to complain when people are using Chrome extensions that modify things.
Yeah, and it's okay. Your app is working. There's not an error. It just slowed down hydration. That's literally it.
Maybe use Preact instead.
Oh,
but I can use Preact with Remix?
Not yet. Well, I guess you can with the compat layer.
Yeah.
Are you monitoring the Discord chat? Because I'm not.
No, let me pop that open because you're driving. So I will moderate the Discord chat. Yeah, there was some useful stuff in there last time.
Yeah. All right, I'm in there. Oh, someone's asking right now, what's the word on Preact support? We want to do it. So we got a couple of things on the roadmap that we're cranking through, but I think that's going to make it onto the roadmap very, very, very soon. And there is a little bit of active work that's already happening over there. Jacob on our team has been working with Jason, who is a coworker of ours now at Shopify, for streaming support so that we can do all the cool defer stuff that we're about to ship.
Yeah, that's actually something that's really cool is like our team is already making contributions to Preact, which is like, that's just awesome.
Somebody somewhere said that 2023 is the year that the remix team is going to, what do they say?
Oh,
I forgot what the adjective was.
Something dramatic, I'm sure.
It was super dramatic. Betray. They're going to betray React this year is what they said.
Betray.
I don't know why adding Preact support or maybe Vue support or maybe solid support, like why is that betraying somebody? It's just inviting more friends to the party, man.
Those backstabbers.
Okay. This has been a thing that we've talked about a lot and forever. The link component treats all URLs as local routing paths. So this guy, like a lot of other people, is sick of creating a link component that checks like, oh, do you want to go external or do a then we'll just do a normal A, otherwise do a remix link.
This would be so easy, Ryan. I know that you're opposed to this, or historically you have been, but it would be a little if statement. If this is an external
Yeah, I know.
link, get out of here, get out of the click handler. We don't care. You know what I'm saying? Let the browser.
Yeah, and honestly, we could do some cool stuff with it. If they say,
Oh, look, I said it there in my comment 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we should probably.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Hey, we had some vacations. So yes, I've always been like, it's so weird. I feel like I'm a pragmatist, but there are times, and you know it because you've worked with me for so long, that I'm like way too big of an idealist. I'm like, no, a link is like an href or anchor tag, but it talks to React Router and does a push state. It is not the same thing as an anchor. If you want an anchor's behavior, render an anchor.
I think a lot of this is like people trying out Remix for the first time, and they've used Next, and they're like,
and it does it. So yeah,
the next link does it. And like that was literally, there was some dude on Twitter who was like, the reasons that Next is better than Remix because their link will use external origin. And I'm like,
because their link will act like an anchor. And I get all offended when people are like, well, they seem to have fixed it. And I'm like, that's not a fix. That's a semantic. You're like ignoring the semantics of your tags for convenience. And I hate those kinds of APIs. But the thing that pushed me over the fence, besides I'm tired of people wanting this and me being an idiot about it, is in Remix, if they say prefetch, how we have like prefetch intent and prefetch render to go and get.
If they say link prefetch.
Yeah, we can go and get the data. We can go get all the resources for the next page. If it's an external link, or just starts with HTTP, it doesn't have to be external, because you could do like HTTPS to like your current website, right? Which is still a Remix website.
Yeah.
We could render prefetch tags that just one tag that's just actually, we could look at the links too of the next page. We could say, okay, is this an internal one to us? Let's render the link tags for the link export of the matched routes. And then let's render a link tag for the document and prefetch that document. Or if it's external, we could prefetch that document too.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Oh,
and then to me, it's totally justified because we've added some behavior on top of anchors.
Totally. Yeah, it'd be rad. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. This helps you justify it. And
it helps the like.
You're right. That's a great reason to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not just we're making a concession for people who don't understand the difference between anchor and link. It's we're actually like, there's a good reason to do this. Yeah.
It's one of those things where like we try to like make the API teach people stuff.
Yeah.
Right. If your link behaves exactly like an anchor, then how do you know what the difference is between those? Like there is a difference between anchor and link. And I want people to know that difference instead of like toss whatever URL you want at it and it will work, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on board.
Cool.
Let's do it.
All right. Create issue. Oh, not roadmap. Just map. What do I want to call this? I want to say accept HTTPS URLs or HTTP. Oh my gosh, I keep trying to write out the word anchor. I'm still in vacation mode. Yep, that's good.
Oh, Thomas has a good question in the live stream chat. Does prefetch actually work across origins? I don't know. I haven't played with prefetching enough to know.
Oh, you know what? I don't want all this stuff. Yeah, it should. My understanding is that it does. It's not like a fetch or like your document isn't going to get access to their like scripts and resources and local storage.
It's not like you're going and actually executing any code over there. You're really just telling the browser go and get ready to go there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't get access to anything, so I can't see why why there'd be problems with that. So my screen still look okay. My green outline is looking kind of wacky.
Yeah, your screen looks great.
Okay. We got a new comment on here. I wrote myself a small package. Isomorphic, you know, he should rename that to Remix Isomorphic Universal Link.
Oh, I ran into the same issue.
I've done it myself. I've written this code like 1,000 times and it just doesn't bother me, I guess.
Well, no more.
No more. We're going to add it. Thank you. Marinominet. Marinominet.
Murano Minet.
Murano Minet. Ma ran on my net.
Oh my. Oh my net.
You got any? Have you all right. Route module, export ID. Use a tree to match routes. Yeah, we've already talked about that. Aren't we doing that? Didn't we already? I don't know.
We talked about it. Pedro and Jacob and I actually were in a chat about that just before the break. Jacob was like doing some exploration.
Okay. Well, that's just sort of like a refactor thing.
That's the thing that I want Pedro to work on right after he's finished with dev server stuff. I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Bundle remix dev. I know you guys are looking at that too.
Yeah.
Supply and upload context for dev.
What's this one? Flush head to trigger static assets loading with streaming before the loader resolves.
I have experimented with that a while ago, really hard. This is the early hints thing.
He's trying to do it with HTTP 1.
Yeah, so
or what is that early hints header? It's like a
103. So you can like send 2 sets of headers.
That's right. It's like a status code. That's right.
Yeah, so what's really cool about this, especially with Remix, is we have that links export, right? We didn't use React Helmet or do some sort of trick where it's like, for server rendering, we're going to inject a string, but then for like client stuff, we're going to inject it up into the header runtime. We just said hydrate the whole document. And then we're going to make a links export on every route module so we can like know ahead of time without rendering. Stuff like React Helmet, you have to render first to know what your links are up in the head. But with ours, we've got a link export on module on routes, so we can ask that before we do anything. Match the routes, go figure out what links they want. And so that gives us the opportunity to tell the browser, hey, here are all the assets for this page, even though I haven't even sent the page yet, right? So like HTML head, all my links, flush, and you can send that immediately. The problem is React doesn't work that way. The way that streaming works in React, like you start sending HTML and React render to stream, it sends a whole HTML document. And then it replaces pieces that you're waiting for. So
when we have to break up the document into like different pieces.
Yeah.
We have to say like, first you render the head, then we'll flush that. Now you render the rest of it. I mean, unless we literally just said all of the body is deferred.
Well, that's what I was going to say. With when we ship defer in the next couple of weeks, I hope next couple of weeks. This is you can make this decision yourself. You can just like defer as much as you want, like defer everything but the HTML skeleton and your head component, and like defer anything that's inside the body. Your root loader defers.
Yeah,
You
right.
get it.
Yeah, you could do this. You could do this yourself, right? You can do this yourself. Yeah. You can do this.
I'm gonna. Yep. Yeah. That's exactly it. And I wouldn't want us to do this in some special way that's like, hey, send your early links, because early hints isn't actually supported yet. And when I was experimenting, I was just doing a little not even express, I was just doing a node server, right? Because then you have really fine-grained control over response dot write head and then response dot send, and you can just like send chunks whenever you want. I was experimenting with it, and even if you flush the document with all those links, not all browsers actually go and fetch them. Only Chrome was for me. I'd have to go back and verify, but so even by flushing the document, it was not sending stuff. And since we don't have early hints, you wouldn't be able to send a correct status code as well. So yeah, I'd rather we just, well, there's really nothing for us to do. Defer is the API. You can totally do this if you want to.
Well, Jacob just brought up a good point in the chat. He says we can already send some link headers today from the information that we have in the build. So let's say the request comes in for the document. We match the routes. We look and we say, okay, we know that these are the routes that are going to render. We're going to start rendering those things. But before we do, we could send some headers, some link headers that are going to include the assets that those routes are going to need, right?
Oh, look, I already said exactly what I was just saying. Yes, we totally could. No one really supports early hints yet. But yeah, that's Jacob's totally right. We could do this at the adapter layer, just send early hints, just automatically. That's, you don't even opt into it. Remix just knows this, and we could just send them.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so this would be a fun kind of like skunkworks side project. If someone wants to add that, that'd be fine. Everybody else ignores early hints, so we could send them. That would just waste until browsers support stuff. Sending a chunk of early hint headers is actually going to slow down documents.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wouldn't want to do it by default until there's a lot of support for early hints.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so it feels like, so we put this in the bucket of like, feels like an optimization that we should probably do later at some point.
Yeah, totally.
Not super high priority.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying here. I'd been comfortable ever doing it by default until we have early hints.
Yeah.
And you can do it yourself with defer. So good news.
Yeah.
All right. Document migration between deployment targets. The stupidest thing I have ever done with Remix, in Remix.
You put that little thing in the CLI that's like, it'll be easy to switch later if you want. And people are like, oh, that sounds great.
Not if you got very far. And by the way, they're totally different runtimes, so some modules won't even work in some places.
Not that easy.
I hope it doesn't still say that.
I think it does.
Cool.
It does. The CLI needs some love.
Yeah, and we're about to start some work on well, the hard thing about that is that it's like essentially we're just writing extra docs for Vercel and extra docs for Netlify and extra docs for Cloudflare. It's like, here's how to run a Cloudflare server. Remix's only job is to tell Cloudflare, here's your server code, here's your public assets, or to tell Vercel, here's your server code, here's your public assets. And so for us to document that is like just rewriting their docs on how to run a custom server. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on doing that, and then how do you do it?
Yeah, that's unfortunately, I think, the category that some of this stuff falls into sometimes. It's like, you're not like, you kind of acknowledge that it's a problem, but you don't know exactly what to do about it.
Yeah, do we really want docs that like document every single JavaScript server? Here is how to point your JavaScript server at your server code and your public assets, and then deploy it. It's really like, it's this whole, that is essentially a project of like how to switch JavaScript apps between Cloudflare and Vercel and Netlify and express.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know. All right, a whole bunch of ones down here. Let's check out what's going on in React Router land. This one doesn't, it's funny, React Router is the big project, and all the code usually has to go here now first. But Remix is the one that gets all the proposals.
Yeah, it's the rebranded React Router.
Add submit options argument for use submit and use fetcher. Apparently I've talked on this one, but I don't remember it. So all the folks that changed the code from. Oh, now I remember. Okay, so when we say fetcher submit, we have all these options on the second part that say, here's where you're submitting it to, here's the method, here's all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Kent is saying, I would rather just say all that stuff up front.
Uh,
And then down here, just pass it the data.
yeah, I think that's reasonable.
I don't think I liked it when I thought about it. Oh, I wrote a big thing on it.
Init versus call site conflicts.
This was actually my first design for use fetcher. I remember that. That's when I was designing fetchers. That's how it worked. But then fetcher form showed up and made me rethink all that. So I guess what I want to do right now is you and I can review this and kind of get your thoughts on.
So for what it's worth, in that example that you just wrote there, that you just scrolled past, I would say, so the cookie API works kind of like this, right? The create cookie API, when you say,
Oh, that's right.
Create a cookie, and you can sort of pass some options up front. And then when you actually say cookie.serialize, or is it serialized cookie? I forget what it's called. But anyway, the commit, the session API, the commit session, you can like pass in more options that will override the sort of original cookie options. So that's kind of what I would expect is you passed some options up front when you created the fetcher, along came this form, you decided to override the method and the action. Those are going to take precedence when this particular form is, it's just like an object assign, right?
Yeah,
Just,
I think I'd be okay with that then. And that is super nice with sessions and cookies, where it's like, generally I always want this to be lax and I want this to be the max age and whatever. And then there's going to be a couple of cases like actually change it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just there's a whole bunch of defaults there. In this particular action, I want you to override the max age and call it 0 because I want to expire this cookie right now or something, you know?
I sometimes get bothered by seeing like, okay, so here's a fetcher and it had these things. And then, okay, I rendered the fetcher form, and then you're confused about something like, why is it posting to that other route? And it's kind of hard to, but whatever.
I think probably a better example would be, I mean, that is a kind of an example that bothers me too. I think probably a better example would be one use fetcher that encodes the action. And then
yeah, they all share one. Okay.
And then multiple forms that use different methods on that same fetcher.
So less overriding and setting like, okay, here's two of the things that they all share. And then each one of them is going to post with the different, I don't know.
Well, one's going to post, one's going to delete.
Yeah.
Right.
So here were my other concerns with it is I've been goofing around with some fetcher events because use effect and React is difficult to like know this kind of stuff, right? So the quintessential example is like if a fetcher errors, you want to like do a toast pop-up, right?
Yeah.
And currently you have to like make a use effect, put the fetcher inside of it, and then check a bunch of state on the fetcher, see if there was an error, and then call toast. But we know if there was an error, or we know if it succeeded, or when it started. You want to like just some event. It's basically like help you not have to use so many use effects in your app.
Yeah.
And we know specific events that are happening in fetchers. I'm not super clear on a lot of this stuff yet. That's why I haven't written a proposal on it.
Yeah.
But this is like a namespace. This is like, it's an API slot, right? We have a slot where we could add a future API, either the one that Kent's proposing or some other stuff. And they're kind of in the way of each other at the moment. Like this is all at the root.
Or you could call Kent's thing sort of default options.
Yeah. Put it on a little, hang it deeper.
Or like he was calling it submit options, right? But like you could literally just write out, you know, options or yeah, submit options. And then you could still have your on start and whatever thing next to it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's solvable. Oh, that's right. And then we got into this conversation about like, well, really, I'm just, I don't know.
Man, you guys were really going back and forth on this. Changes I made are added. Everything's fine. What changes?
Results in fetcher being submitted unnecessarily? I think this like turned into like a fetcher identity and stuff. Oh, that's right. Stable across location changes, remove those bits about render stability in the proposal. That's right. So this is a conversation that's not even in the proposal anymore. Okay.
So you're like, I'm not super interested.
So stable submit, it's not related. Technically, you need call side options, but you don't need init options. So schedule changes convenience, which try to shy away from. Also talked about passing supplied ID to fetchers, so they're easier to find and use fetchers elsewhere, like use fetcher ID. So decision here is not just, is this convenient enough to add, but rather, is this useful enough that it's worth taking over the signature of use fetcher for future things that aren't possible today?
Well, but we already said that we're not gonna completely own the signature, right? Like we can carve out a little space for this thing that Kent wants.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was kind of imagining use fetcher, and then you could like, the first argument is just an ID. Here's the ID for this thing. So you want like comma and then all the other stuff. Anyway, I think this is, I still kind of feel this way, is a convenience API, because that's what we're talking about. We're just like, oh, I want to set some default options. And you can do that. Like you could refactor your code to share options between fetcher call sites. So is a convenience API worth complicating or preventing future use cases?
We got use fetcher with defaults. Yeah.
Yeah, boom, there you go.
Yeah.
So basically we're just saying, do we want people to have to write this if they want some defaults on a fetcher or not? And I don't think it's worth taking over an API slot that we don't have any API there, to the arguments to use fetcher. And I've had a lot of ideas running around about things that should be there.
Okay. And it's not like something that's super common where, people are just doing this thing all the time and oh my gosh, it's so annoying. It's just really Kent that showed up here and said, I have an idea for something to do with this API, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah, defaults are always great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the cost here is kind of high.
Okay. Yeah, if you feel that way about it, then yeah, let's hold off on it.
Oh, and I guess Kent is on board too.
Yeah.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, just table it. Honestly, just
yeah, we'll table it, and then when I schedule my time to write the proposals for the fetcher IDs and fetcher events,
yeah.
This will absolutely be in the back of our minds as we kind of go through that.
Yeah.
And then maybe we find a spot for it. It's like, oh, cool, let's just toss in the defaults too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm against this. I'm just, I just got plans.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
use fetcher.
that's fair. That's fair.
Do we really want to turn this into a music room when we also want to have a workout room?
Yeah.
All right. Don't bring back route component props, just match params and render prop. Sounds interesting. Have I commented on this? No. What is the newer update feature? You allow the children of the route component to be a function render prop and pass in the match object.
They never really go away. Render props.
Dude, this API of give us a component and we'll call create element. Give us children and we'll just add some stuff in context. Give us a thing called element and we'll just add stuff to context. And yes, the what he's trying to go for here, and I sympathize, is get rid of the indirection, right? If we did this, if this was a possible thing, then like you have access to that match right there. And then React Router can actually have the types that will give you the correct types here. Like we can match on that thing, and like you'll know your correct params, and even with like data, if you've got a loader on this route and an action, we could infer those types, and you put the loader data in here and it would be all type safe. And it's essentially like React context gets in the way of type safety. Like you can't have type safety across React context.
Yeah.
But if we did this, you remove that indirection, and then you could have type safety and then pass it into these things. And so instead of accessing stuff from hooks and context, you just pass them as props.
Well, but he's using the wrong prop. He's using the children prop, which in React Router 6 is reserved for child routes.
Yeah. So we can put it on something like render instead of element, or take a
function in the element prop, right?
Yeah. It'd be so cool to get all that type safety.
I'm fine if you want to take a function in the element prop. It's just, this example looks kind of like neat and tidy the way that he wrote it.
Yeah.
You know, visualize a whole tree that's doing this. Like the whole point of the V6 API was like, we're going to make it easy to see your route tree, right? The routes are nested right here. Don't put complex junk in here, right? We just want to view the routes here. And anything else that you need, you can just get it with a hook. Use match, use your params, whatever. And this guy's like, no, I don't want to, I mean, this would open the door for a whole bunch of complexity to show up in that route config, which if you
it kind of is
want,
now with loader in action, like those kind of like barfed all over that nice clean JSX route.
Oh, they totally did. Yeah, no, they totally did. Yeah. Yeah, they totally did. I mean, unless you isolate that code off somewhere else, you know, the sign up action or whatever, and then you just have like a word that you put there, and that function actually lives somewhere else.
Yeah. Instead of render, so if we were like, yeah, let's do this for the type safety, like that's the reason to do it. It's a little less convenient actually than hooks, because you got to like, so if you're not in a TypeScript world, the hooks are easier to work with, and element prop is easier to work with. You add types, this is really nice. And I'm kind of like, if we want to do this, let's add back the component prop. And then
I get so sick of going back and forth.
I know. And then, but the reason that I'm thinking of this is just for types, because now if you hand a component prop to that thing, that has a type. I want a React component function. And then that component has its type signature, and we have our type signature, and they'll match up. Right. And so then they can just hand this blog post component. Yeah, but then they're going to get params. That's not even what they want here. When we had a render prop, people would hand components to this and then be like, what the heck? Why is this?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's not a component.
How come use memo doesn't work on this thing or whatever?
We're not calling render on it. We're just calling the function. That's it.
Yeah.
How come I can't do a use effect in there?
Yeah, exactly.
Use state in there. It's just a function. We're just calling it. We're not, React isn't the one that's rendering it. Yeah, I see that. And that's, yeah. So you're saying TypeScript. That's why.
Yeah. The only reason to do this is type safety. You take React context indirection out of React Router figuring out things. Here's your params, here's your loader data, here's your action data, here's your match, here's your whatever. Here we have a dozen hooks that give you a bunch of pieces of context about the route at runtime. Yeah. And since you access from React context, you lose type safety. And so you got to like do the, like, I'm
Like,
lined up.
pass
So
the
put generic.
generic to your hook or
Yeah.
to your, yeah, to your hook, right?
Where if we had a render prop, that just said, okay, instead of accessing it from hooks, you can also just get it from this giant bag of props, loader data, action data, match, params.
Component.
Then you get type safety.
Yeah.
And you get rid of the indirection of React context, which there are
Okay.
days where I would like that personally.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so yeah, so I would, yeah, in a render prop. Yeah, this guy doesn't care what it's called. He just wants a render prop.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just call it element. And
Element can take a function, you're going to get type safety.
element can take a function, just like action and loader can take a function. There you go.
Here's every hook's return value for you.
Yeah, what are the arguments to the function though? Is it really just the match?
No, well, match has most things on it, doesn't it? Match has, oh crap, what does match have? Oh, no, that's a different thing. Oh man, that's an API that I want to clean up someday. So match tells you the route ID, the path name, the data from the loader, the params, and the handle. So it's actually missing some stuff. It doesn't have action data. Or at least it's not documented that it has action data. But you would want everything probably, right? You'd want location. Like
No.
basically everything that we return from these hooks, I would imagine we probably want on there, right? You're inside of a route element component. And you're like, I want the location, I want the navigate function, I want my loader data, I want my action data. All those read hooks and even the navigate right hook. I think I'd want all those in that giant bag.
You get, yeah, any hook where you like get some stuff that is specific to that route.
Basically the thing that we put on route context or outlet context, actually, where like it has all the parent stuff.
Yeah. I would be very intentional though about like adding stuff to that bag, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I just mean, I think there's a lot that I would personally, if we do it, I'd be like, yeah, just give me almost everything. And then I can just skip all the hooks.
Yeah.
And then React Router v7, we remove all the hooks and we say, you know what, just pass props. It's 2014 again.
Holy crap. Wouldn't that blow people's minds? No more hooks. Wait, what? Yeah, no more hooks, just functions. Just functions that, oh crap. That would be
Safety, man. It's funny because React
be
context,
hilarious.
React context was so good.
Yeah.
And then with hooks, it got really convenient, and React broadcast, our little thing that turned into React context.
Yeah.
It became really convenient and it was awesome. And then TypeScript showed up and we're all like, oh crap, I'd rather know what the heck I'm getting.
Yeah.
Instead of just like blindly asking for stuff. Give me whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, yeah. Yeah.
And so the only way to do that is to remove indirection.
Yep.
Which means add prop drilling and boilerplate. Because
inline your callbacks and yeah.
Interesting.
This just makes me laugh. But no, that's I actually
and he's saying, he's like, guys, I know you're gonna say bring back route component props. Don't do that. I just
yeah.
Oh man.
Is this guy Italian? Barbare?
It's in London.
Oh, he's totally Italian. He just lives in London. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to assume too much, but that's a totally Italian last name.
Well, then we have to do it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think he's I think he's actually onto something. I think he's yeah.
Well, and he's got this as const thing right here to like help out with types, but like we could put people on our team who know TypeScript better than us onto this, and then we get loader data, action data, the match, the params, all that stuff would just be inferred and automatically type safe come into this render prop. It'd be fantastic.
Mhm. Yeah, let's not call it component. Let's not go back there. let's not call it children either. Because I don't want to overload it.
Yeah, just element, leave it on element.
Yeah, let's just say element takes a function.
For real. I'm not gonna put that in there. We like this. I'm thinking we can overload element to accept a function. We're also interested in adding more to it.
Regarding the issue that we were talking about earlier, sorry, I don't want to get you off track if you're writing, but
just talk to our audience. Just kidding.
Well, no, I got the live in the live stream chat. These guys are bringing up some good points about, they're like, this whole hydration thing feels like a remix problem, even though it's not technically a remix problem. Like we can punt on it and we can say technically it's a React problem. They're like, it feels like a remix problem, and I think it feels like it's our problem because we're the only ones who give you access over the whole or control over the whole document.
And we don't have a way of like React helmet style meta link injection.
Yeah. So they're like, it feels like a remix problem, even though it is technically a React problem. This is one of those areas where like we went outside the normal convention of what everybody else was doing and exposed, I think, a flaw in the framework where it just wasn't really exposed before because people weren't doing it that way.
It's because it's our long-term plan to betray React.
like seriously, like I'm sitting here scheming about like how I can screw the React community or something.
Internet's fun.
But I hear that like it totally does feel like a remix problem, even though it's technically a React problem. But these guys are saying like I'm gonna have to be on React 17 because React 18 is breaking.
Oh, this happened in 17 too.
Not according to these guys.
Oh. Yeah, just don't use start transition.
What?
So we use start transition here from React. And that says, when you hydrate, I want you to do it in chunks and release the main thread. So hydration in React 17 is just all at once. Like once you say hydrate, React builds up a VDOM tree, it compares it to the real HTML, and the I'm guessing here, but the main thread is blocked. And so a Chrome extension didn't have time to come in and manipulate the DOM yet. So React manipulates the React first hydrates, releases the thread, and then the Chrome extension is like, oh, I'm going to barf some stuff into the head, and everything was fine. When you say start transition, that tells React, hey, I want you to hydrate, but I want you to do it in the 50 millisecond batches, right?
Yeah. So you're saying if you just don't use start transition, then you're hydrating like you were in React 17 all at once.
Yeah.
So which you can use React 18, just do the all at once hydration thing. But that basically means though that for literally everybody, because you don't know when somebody's going to have a Chrome plugin installed that's going to break your hydration. So for literally everybody who is doing remix, we would have to say, don't do it the React 18 way, do it the React 17 way.
I personally wouldn't. I don't care if someone's got a Chrome extension that forces React to redraw the whole document. Like, what's on desktop, what's that going to cost? 50 milliseconds?
Yeah, but every single, it's like every single user suffers because of the few that might have Chrome extensions installed.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't care. If someone has a Chrome extension, fine. React is going to take a little longer to hydrate their document.
Well, no, there are some people. There's one guy who's saying like stuff is actually broken on his page. He's like, it's not just an annoyance.
I'd have to see that, because the whole reason React redraws the tree is to avoid the bugs. React is like, this isn't the DOM that I want to write, so I'm going to blow it all away and put my own in.
Well, I don't know. He's saying LastPass is actually one of the Chrome extensions, which is a very common Chrome extension.
Yeah, that one's super common.
He's saying LastPass will just break your site.
I'd like to see a reproduction of that, because I can't understand why it would. Because React, the whole point of React blowing away the whole DOM and putting a new one in is to not have the site break.
Yeah, well, so this is why anyway, sorry to come back to this old discussion that we had at the beginning, but this is where I start thinking like, maybe we don't die on this hill and maybe we just have some other way of hydrating that's more like everybody else does it. Instead of hydrating the whole document, we have these little islands in head and body that we hydrate in.
Yeah, or
instead
of betraying React, we could go and say, hey guys, can you think of ways for React to deal with this? What does solid do? What does Svelte do? What does quick do? What does Preact do? Like, is this a problem elsewhere?
Well, I'm having a conversation with them in a couple of weeks. Maybe I just bring this up and say, hey, realize nobody else is hydrating the whole document, but we are. And this is a problem for us.
So Roboto is saying in the chat, he's saying LastPass and Dark Reader both make hydration fail, but it doesn't break the sites.
Oh, okay. So it's his word against D. Markow.
The guy whose site was breaking was that he left his site for 24 plus hours open, I assume, and there was a hydration error in the console, but it couldn't be pinned down as a remix issue. I immediately doubt that the site breaks, because the whole warning is saying, hey, there was some DOM here and I chucked it because I don't want to break your site and I want to hydrate it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love the elegance of just hydrating the whole document. I think it's totally rad.
Oh, and it's how we do all of our cool link prefetching and headers.
It's obviously very core. Yeah.
Early hints is going to be fantastic.
Whenever the conversation comes up, I'm like, oh, if that's a problem for people, maybe we can find a different way to do this. But
and your server entries are so weird looking when it's like, first I'm going to render to figure out what my styles are. Now I'm going to render to figure out what all my head stuff is. Now I'm going to inject all this stuff to construct a document. It's a lot of work that you just don't need to do.
Okay, let's just bring this up with the React team then, and just say, hey, can you please just ignore changes that Chrome extensions are making to the document? And then I'll be happy.
And maybe just the warning should be like, everything's cool, just know. Right? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, everything's busted, but it's like, no, it's hydration just took a tiny bit longer than it would have.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Apparently emotion is an offender here. Emotion
is one of those CSS things that like injects styles up into the head. And so you have to render first to know what your styles are, and then construct an HTML document, send it. And then when you hydrate, you have to anyway, it's again, trying to get crap out of components that we did in Remix, and just us going a different direction than the way a lot of folks are going with React.
Yeah. Sorry to bring that one up again, but
yeah, next time
you're like sure that this is not going to break people's sites. This is React's problem. Let's just bring it up with them.
Yeah, and the effect on the user experience is probably never noticed by the people with these extensions, because they're not on mobile, right? They're on desktop if they've got these extensions
Yeah.
where hydration is already 100 milliseconds, even if you do it all at once.
Yeah.
So, what else we got?
Have we added anything to the roadmap yet? Or we just
Not a proposal. Yeah, we added a couple things.
okay, so
Let's
I
go check it
wasn't
out.
looking at your screen. I was
Add
just
support for escaped route segments. Oh, this is from Logan. Oh, so in Remix we can escape them, but we can't in React Router. That's funny. That also is like a smell that like, oh, we got some code in Remix that probably should just belong in React Router, so they have the same feature set and we only do it in one spot.
yeah.
Interesting.
But he's talking about files. Yeah, so that the square brackets is something that you put in a file system path,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, how can I do that in a React Router path?
Yeah, in React Router, if I want a literal star in there, is that a valid URL encoded thing, or isn't that a special character?
A star is valid in a URL.
It is. Stack Overflow will know from 2009.
Stack Overflow.
Oh man, Stack Overflow is struggling. All right. Well, may contain any of the 84. So these are all the valid
Any of the
ones.
following 84 characters.
There it is.
Yeah.
And you can have a colon. So yeah, I'd be fine updating our algorithm and saying, sure, well, maybe the escape should be a / like a regular expression escape in React Router.
Mm.
Because if we use squares, now how are you going to escape the squares?
More squares.
Yeah, that's what Remix does. More squares.
No, yeah. It seems to me like the route path in React Router and the file system path conventions in Remix are kind of starting to diverge a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would prefer to keep them as close as we can. You know? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes we have to diverge, like for the $$ thing for the dynamic params?
Yeah, you can't have colons on a file. The file system, you get like 3 special characters, and we've already used them all, I think. So
yeah, so $ on the file system, colons in React Router paths.
I just don't want to limit. I don't want to limit what we can do in React Router. I don't want to add the file system limitations to React Router paths.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. I don't want to either. I don't want to drive people crazy if they're trying to go back and forth between the two.
Yeah, agree. All right, well, we're out of time. We'll get back to that, Logan.
Okay.
Let's check it out. What do we get? We only had one thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't feel like we added a whole lot to the.
That's all right. I got some bangers in my Notion notes right now that I'm gonna have for next time.
Okay.
And I think I want to take some time and review other people's.
Just for the sake of anybody who's watching, we're gonna ship some pretty big stuff here very, very soon.
Oh my gosh, for real.
Very soon. That some stuff that people have been wanting for a long time.
We just shipped optional route segments, testing helpers, and just junk of doing stuff. CSS modules.
Yeah, that's
CSS side effect imports. This is actually bigger than this one, I think. Because there's so many component libraries that pretend like you can import CSS into JavaScript.
Yeah. But just Remix on router 6.4 is like massive.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that cleans up a lot of our APIs that we got wrong the first time around in Remix. When we moved to React Router, we cleaned them up. Now we brought them back, and both the old way and the new way work together at the same time.
Yeah.
Michael's
helpers should be a lot smaller because they're just going to reuse a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good stuff coming. Good stuff.
And lots of good stuff coming over here too.
Yep.
All right, man.
Well, thanks. I'm going to be out next Monday, so our stream next week should happen on like I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
Okay, I'll look at our calendars and get it on there. And then for everybody else, I will announce this days in advance instead of minutes.
Woohoo! Thanks, man.
Okay, adios.
Yeah.